Konami Studios. What's up, you bastiches? We are talking about Infinite Hour Exxxtreme, the latest tie-in to the Dark Knight's Death Metal storyline. Now, this one was I think this one was supposed to come out earlier because it has that feel that it was supposed to be connected to the first story, like the first issue of the actual Death Metal going, just because this entire story is about Lobo. And Lobo's only appeared in the first issue of Death Metal, so maybe they push this one back and they're like, oh, we got to get Trinity Crisis and Multiverse's End out there, because they're the bigger names. And once we get the draw in, here we go. Here's Infinite Hour Exxxtreme. By the way, that's the best title. That one's the best title of all the tie-ins. It's such a good title. So like I said, this issue is entirely dedicated to Lobo. If you were wondering what the hell he was doing in that first issue of Death Metal, this entire book is for him. It's an oversized special because he's that awesome, and it just buys into my theory that this is meant to be a comedy. You don't take this seriously. Go along for the ride. You're at a rock concert. This is kind of like the encore. We're getting like the heavy metal stuff coming in now. Everything's going to be insane and crazy. This book was so cool, man. Just a fun read. Everything about it just worked so well. It's such a Lobo book. I know I said that already, but it's just so inherently Lobo that everything that happens just works so well to everything we've seen with Lobo before. And I'm not even a big Lobo guy. I love him enough where I understand the character, and he can stay over there and I won't really mess with it or get too in depth in it. But this made me really like the character a lot, just because he has this place in the DC universe that's kind of outside of everyone else, where he could literally go anywhere and it'd make sense. So having him be like a centerhead in this kind of story, yeah, it works for me. I think it makes sense to the point that I'm not complaining about it. So our book opens up 6 months in the past, kind of like before the big events happened in Death Metal. Lobo's at this random bar. He's killing everyone to find his bounty, and he accidentally kills the bounty before he kills everyone else. There's just some funny jokes where he rips off the bartender's arm so the bartender can't get him drinks. You know, classic Lobo shenanigans. Lobo would be a great character for an animated series, wouldn't he? Maybe we should get on that universe sometime in the world. But as he's having this, he just starts to realize, what am I going to do now with all this free time? And he is instantly attacked by a main man himself from a different universe. This one is a Batman Lobo. It is a Bruce Wayne that injected himself with the Zarian DNA to become, and man, they give it a bunch of cool names. The two that stuck with me were the Batmain Man, which is such a clever play because it's just so stupid and obvious. And then it's the Batman Who Frags, I think was the other one they said, which is such a good play on the Batman Who Laughs. It works well. It's a cool design. Looks like a great action figure that Todd McFarlane's going to make probably next year because, come on, Lobo would sell well. Batman sells well. Cross the two together, you get a winning combination. So this Batman is tasked with killing Lobo. So they just start fighting around, and then as they're having the fight, it looks like our Lobo's going to lose, but he's pulled through a portal by none other than Lex Luthor. And then Lex Luthor just says, yo, I got it. I need your help with something, man. There's a plan in play that I came up with. We have to rewrite history. I need you to find the Death Metal. So there's an actual metal called Death Metal that exists in the universe. And now that's something that's an extra layer to the story. We kind of hinted at that in the beginning of the first issue. Now it's here in play again, and we're going to go deal with that, which is kind of just a really dumb concept. It's just so literal. It's such like you could tell these guys are writers, and I know that's weird to say, but just having like an actual thing called Death Metal that's not just a title, it's such a writer thing to do, and I absolutely love it. So Lobo decides, yeah, he'll do it for the right money and the right paycheck, of course, so he decides he'll do it. And we cut back to the present day. He's on this mysterious island in the middle of nowhere. They call it just like the West somewhere. And he's just walking through these swamps like, okay, I gotta find this thing. Where am I? Attacked by another Batman. This one is Black Monday, which is a cross between Batman and Solomon Grundy. And even Lobo's just like, what is it with you guys and your bat fetish? Like, come on, why can't there be other things in the multiverse? Yeah, you'd think that, but we gotta sell this book somehow, and nothing sells more than Batman. So yeah, we'll literally just put a bat mask on Solomon Grundy, call it a new character. You get two things you love, Batman and another character. It's done. You're gonna be happy. Don't complain about it. Easily beats that Batman. Comes to this temple where he's just rummaging around through a bunch of like statues and artifacts. He's like, well, none of these are right. I'll know when I see it. It's pretty much his idea here. And he meets up with Hawkman, because Hawkman will be appearing in a movie potentially next year or the year after that. So we're going to get him in bigger stuff. I'm not saying that's why he's in here, but it just felt like that. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for it. But Carter's just like, some people tracked the location here because I've written it down somewhere, but luckily I destroyed the directions. But I did manage to keep the actual death metal secret. And you know what? Maybe you are the only person in the entire world, the entire galaxy, the entire DC continuity that could actually do the right thing with this death metal. So he reluctantly gives the medal to Lobo. They are instantly attacked again by the Batman man, and he comes in, he's like swinging, he's like, give me that death metal, yo, let's take it, let's go crazy. But they're going through another portal, and this time Lobo and Carter Hall end up in Gem World, which is kind of an interesting idea, because is that Amethyst book still going on? I think they pushed it back, so I'm like, why would you push it back if you knew they were going to come here in this book? I could be completely off on that. The book might have ended. I'm pretty sure they delayed it, not indefinitely, but like 3 months. Maybe even the finale. I'll look into that later, but you're just like, okay, they're on Gem World. Then we cut a little bit further into the future where Lobo's just like, man, I could do a lot of cool shit with this death metal. So we get a montage of Lobo rewriting the DC universe in the image of Lobo. So we see a little pocket world he created where he's the baby Clark Kent. He's a little Bruce Wayne. He's not Bruce Wayne. He shoots Bruce Wayne's parents. And then we see a version where he's like a Wonder Woman type character and he becomes all the Justice League. And he's just having fun, just lounging around, making his own world. He's like, man, this is better than any sitcom I've ever watched, like The Walking Dead. Because, that classic sitcom that hasn't lasted too long, kind of like this book is, if you ask me. Not the book of the Infinite Hour Extreme, but the actual death metal storyline is pretty long. In comes Brainiac, because we haven't seen Brainiac yet, so we're going to throw him in here. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? You do not understand the power in your hands, Lobo. You are the only person in the universe that could potentially save us all. And you're being selfish with it in your classic fashion. Do you know why you survived so long, Lobo? Not because you're a cool design and a badass guy who's our Wolverine, but because you're so selfish and for some reason you get everything you want and nobody says anything about it. Kind of another one of those meta-narratives they like tossing in here every now and then. And you're just like, yep, that's true. Lobo's just a big asshole and everyone's okay with it. Nobody complains whatsoever when he's a dick. They don't. They just love it so much because you got to have that little anti-hero guy that everyone loves. You got to have your Wolverine. He's their Wolverine. I'll say it. He's the Wolverine. And this is a side note, but come on. You have Jason Momoa in your house, in your Warner Brothers house, and you don't get him to play Lobo. Instead, you get him to do Aquaman. Now, he's not a bad Aquaman, but man, does he just look, act, and feel like Lobo. That's what you should have cast him as. Just saying, guys. You could use that. Just put him back in there. It won't matter. No one's going to worry about it. That's what should have happened. And now we just get this idea that, yeah, Lobo's going to have to be the one to kind of bring reality back to its true form or bring it back to whatever it was going to be the closest thing at. We also see that the Batman man is still alive and he still wants to come after Lobo, but he's going to lose either way. It doesn't really matter. And you're just like, that's cool. And it's just like a fun story where we're seeing the conclusion here is that Lobo decides, I guess I should do the right thing, which, yeah, you probably should have, so good for you for doing it. So Lobo holds the keys to literally bringing the universe back together with actual death metal, and you're like, okay, let's see where this goes, because I think it's going to be a pretty fun finale, a pretty weird story to bring him into. I like it a lot. This kind of gives us everything we missed in the actual, death metal storyline. Here's where Lobo is, here's where Brainiac is, here is where Lex Luthor is. These characters were kind of all teased, but never really got into it in the main story. I still think this book was supposed to come out earlier. I could be wrong on that, but it just has the feeling of something that should have came out around the time of the first issue. Either way, it's pretty cool. It's just like a fun idea. It just ends on like a cliffhanger that Lobo's about to do something either very stupid or very smart, and you don't really know what it is. So it's pretty cool that way. If you love Lobo, this book is definitely for you. If you like death metal, it's going to give you all this classic death metal stuff, including some meta-narrative and making fun of all the different Batmen. It's a good read. It's solid. It's fun. Is it my favorite of these tie-ins? I don't know. It's definitely got the best title, but it's probably up there with some of the best of it. And I've liked all these tie-ins a lot. So, Dark Knight's Death Metal, Infinite Hour, Exxxtreme, I don't know. I don't have an air horn. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. But thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.